Alright, hello everyone and welcome to yet another weekend at Loka's, and yeah, let's just get right into the action. I am of course LokaCola, being joined by Prentice1215.
If you have any poo, fling it now.
Because it's Monke time!
Monkey time! Forget it. Yeah, I love how we just always gloss over the giant lizard. It's all about the monkey.
Yeah, but that's where the most funny memes are, and just
true. Yeah.
I suppose going back to the flinging stuff, you know, it's more natural. Like, you don't really have any like fun memes or anything like that for lizards that I can think of.
No. See, yeah, I was about to say something, but I'm like, no, that's frog related. That's not a lizard. So yeah, no, I can't really think of anything lizard related. It's like maybe something about the gecko, but I mean, you know, that's. It's like, oh no, look out! Here comes Godzilla to sell us car insurance. That's just not as funny.
Nah, because this is the current state of Warzone. Oh, hang on.
There's a What are the odds? What are the odds that there'd be two John McClanes?
This is getting out of hand. No, there are two
of them.
And we even got the monkey on the team too.
Yeah.
I will say, so around. I mean, well, the fact that I'm playing as John McClane definitely shows that I shilled some money around this time last year. I haven't done it this time, I swear. I haven't bought any of the bundles. But I will say, for half a second I considered picking up the Kong bundle, because it comes with an execution where you just yeet the enemy.
Yeah.
I just like,
the only
okay.
Problem... I'm aware it's bugged in Warzone where they hit an invisible wall about 3 feet away, but in Vanguard itself, they do go flying.
Yeah, and they go, like, it's not just a little bit, they really go some ways. How did this guy not kill me?
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the sky.
And if we thought things were bad or really strange around this time of last year, when John McClane and Rambo entered the Warzone, boy, have things devolved since.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're doing, because the 80s action heroes thing was a little random, I felt, but you know, Die Hard, Rambo, I mean, those are classic 80s action movies, and it ties in better than I thought, because Cold War, of course, was set in the 80s. So them being 80s action heroes actually fit more than I would actually like to think. So I mean, you know, it felt a little random, but you know, honestly, it made sense. This though, I have no idea what the heck is going on and why they chose this event now. Is it because isn't it canon that Godzilla becomes a thing because of the nuclear strikes on Japan?
Take out enemies to grab their intel.
Isn't that part of the lore?
Time's running out. Move to the target.
If we're talking, maybe we should have brought Daxter along, because I think he's the real Godzilla nerd of us three, whereas on my end, I only have the experience with the American versions.
Get ready, soldier.
Whoa! Monke! But I suppose since this is themed around the last movie, I suppose it's by that movie's lore we have to go through. And in those movies, Godzilla is a very, very old prehistoric creature that goes way back. And that's also the kind of explanation for both Kong as well as a lot of the other monsters that show up in the movies.
I knew that was the explanation for Kong, but I just assumed that Godzilla was the same as always, and that they wouldn't mess with the lore. But
yeah, no, that's the OG lore, and I suppose as cursed as it's gonna sound, the 97 or whatever year the Roland Emmerich movie is from is actually closer to the OG lore than the most recent ones. It's such a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Because that one is like derided for being so inaccurate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got Matthew Broderick in it and everything. And yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like the design's not great. If I remember correctly, there's even a Godzilla movie out of Japan where Japan Godzilla murders.
Oh yeah.
American Godzilla, and they're like, they do something in the lore where they're like, this isn't actually Godzilla, this is another monster, and that's.
Where the heck did he come from?
I don't know. I just opened the door and saw a guy on the ground.
Yeah, he wasn't there before, and then I turn a corner and suddenly there's a guy there.
There's another one. They're just dropping from the ceiling.
What's happening?
Setting AT mine. Meet here.
So yeah, maybe don't go up there, because there's obviously stuff going on up there.
Oh yeah, there's obviously people in there. Whoa! Whoa! Mecha Godzilla! He's here! Where'd he go? There you are. Oh, come on. I hate the melee in this game so much. It's too OP.
What? He RPG'd me! Or Panzerfausted me. Whatever.
I guess it took...
That thing's OP.
I guess it... Ah, nice.
I managed to down him at least. Okay, I feel better about that.
Yeah. I think they even went as lazy as to say that, or name the, in the Japanese, movie thingy, wherever the cursed, Godzilla Rex showed up, they just call it Zilla. It's like, okay. And yeah, we have been talking about this event because we played a little bit of this last Wednesday, and I think both of us are on a relatively similar page. Just in that this really is out of nowhere, and I think that's what. While I have some positive things to say, ow! Oh boy, I'm just gonna continuously be going back to my stuff. It seems, and also continuously gonna get killed while getting said stuff. Because I think it's the timing that makes all of this like really strange. I mean, aside from the lore implications, but at this point, I'm not even sure there is a unified COD lore anymore. And if there
Which is upsetting, because that was kind of like what it felt like they were building to with Cold War and stuff. Come on! I'm going to echo your statement of I hate the melee in this game.
Yeah, it's way too OP still. After all this
no, it's either OP or it doesn't do anything, because like I tried to melee a guy and it did absolutely nothing.
Funny that just as you said that, I was trying to melee someone.
Yeah.
And he killed me.
Yeah, the melee works for other people, but never you.
it's incredibly inconsistent.
It's consistently inconsistent.
Yeah. But going back to the event, I think at this point I'm just gonna look at this as, you know, call this the biggest entertainment franchise period, so that everything wants or can do crossover promotions with it. I suppose it's just gonna be fair game at this point, especially after this year with both this thing and also Attack on Titan crossing over with bundles. But that one at the very least is only restricted to 2 bundles, even though it is kind of cursed still. But and the fact that I think both the packs were releasing at the same time as something to do with the final season, so it's like, okay, at the very least it's a case of it
ties in with the release of something.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's fine. And that, I suppose, because I think that was also the case with at least if you go way back at this point to Halloween of 2020, I think the Texas Chainsaw crossover at least was also due to a movie being released that then got delayed. And I think it was it this year it got released?
Yeah, it was 2020. It was 2021 it finally got released.
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be 2020. That sounds right.
Okay, yeah. And then of course we had the 80s Action Heroes event, but that's more to do with the 80s setting. And then we had in that following Halloween we got Ghostface, which on one hand very weird considering he's an icon of the 90s. However, there was a new movie that came out this last January, I believe.
January, and that's the part that didn't make sense to me. Is that they were advertising it in around Halloween time, which made sense. But then the movie was coming out in January. It's like, why was the movie coming out in January, not October? That just didn't make sense.
Yeah, that was strange, real strange. But at this, you know, at the very least, it was kind of close-ish. And of course,
it was close-ish.
And of course, the Attack on Titan stuff that we just mentioned. But the movie came out like a year ago or something like that. A year or 2 years ago. I don't even remember at this point.
It's a 2021 movie.
Yeah.
It was like exactly a year ago or something like that.
So it's like, okay, if this was an event last year, I would have still been like, what the heck is this about?
Well, I mean, doesn't make total sense, but it makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly, because of the, you know, for the reasons that we brought up previous crossovers, in that, you know, it was at the very least close to an actual or planned release. Whereas, I mean, it's not like there's a new Godzilla vs. Kong movie coming anytime soon. I believe there's a Godzilla series, but I don't know if it's this.
I don't know what the status of the Monsterverse or whatever they're calling it is right now. It kind of feels like that, you know, they did Godzilla vs. Kong, and it's almost like it's on the back burner for a while. Yeah, like the movie did okay, but it didn't do the numbers they were hoping for. So it's just now a wait and see thing. So I don't even know if we know what's coming next.
Oh, I was gonna go in a completely different direction by saying that, you know, that was kind of, in a sense, their end game. So it's like, okay, now it's probably gonna, if there's gonna be any more stuff, it's probably gonna be a little while. Partly,
which is odd because they've had they did 4 movies. It was Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, then Kong versus Godzilla, and that's it. So they got to their end game in 4 movies.
Yeah.
So well, I mean, maybe it wasn't their end game. Maybe it was their Avengers 1.
That might be a closer analogy, actually.
Ah, behind us.
Oh, two. They're in front of us, behind us. Oh, that was a friendly.
Enemy has lost your trail. You're safe.
Where'd he go?
Alright, intel acquired. Keep your senses sharp. An enemy team is tracking your location.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Reinforcements are on the way.
I'm getting the heck out of there.
I'm getting tracked now.
Is about to attack. Careful. Godzilla's looking your way and is about to attack. One of your allies is back in the game.
Oh, and I think we're gonna have to move now.
Yep.
Because the zone is about to.
You've collected intel for Operation Monarch.
Ooh, hold on. I could use that guy's armor plates.
Grab him.
Oh, now there's a cluster strike.
Oh, things are not going well.
Nope.
Is there a way to get up? Or is he just AFK?
I think maybe AFK? Because I don't think there's a way to get up and revive him.
Yeah, I don't think so. Sorry, Kong. We're gonna have to leave you.
Apes together strong. Ah, come on! Oh, I hit him with the thermite. He's burning.
I just downed Godzilla. I just burned Godzilla to death.
One of your allies.
Hello, one of the Vanguard characters
there's a
that
guy,
I can't remember the name
There's a guy right outside.
Collected intel for Operation Monarch.
Oh yeah. He's dead now.
Member is redeploying.
Oh boy. Oh, not good, not good, not good, not good.
Redeploying.
That being said, I've had a surprising... I'm not gonna say this is a great event, but I've had a surprising amount of fun with it.
Yeah. Ah, big rock!
Because I was not expecting it. But I think a huge part of that, and that might actually neatly segue us into another point of discussion. Because if you're keen-eyed or have good memory, you might have noticed that the last time I streamed Warzone was actually of Halloween last year.
Oh, has it been that long?
I wonder if there's a coincidence or an actual reason why Warzone hasn't been played much.
Because it sucked.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I have been playing it. I have been playing quite a bit of it on my off. I don't know, off air. But not as often as I used to be doing.
Yeah, same. I think I legitimately took like a 3-month break from it. Because I played it in December, and longer than that, because I played it in December a little bit, because I've got a couple clips from then. And then I didn't pick it back up until like last week when this event was live. So yeah, I mean that's like a 4 or 5 month break right there. So I mean that, and I had played this, and I took little breaks here and there before, but only for like a month max, and then I'd be jumping back into it because of how much I love Warzone. So that says a lot.
Yeah. And
oh, it was me he bought back? Okay.
I can't decide if that was a absolute Chad moment or a complete bruh moment. Just standing there taking the hits, but
yeah,
buying back you.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Can I make it? No, 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 no! No! It didn't let me activate my parachute! Game! 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 That's on the game! The game said no! The game said no!
Oh,
I was spamming the button so many times trying to activate my parachute because I noticed I was falling, but nope! The game said no!
Oh gosh. Thanks, Warzone. Thanks for proving our point. Oh.
You know, honestly, that probably ended the best way it could have.
Yeah.
Because I was getting lit up anyway, so that wasn't going to end well anyway. But I mean, hey, at least something funny happened.
Yeah. That's the main takeaway.
Yeah.
From this.
Because that's all. Because that's like. And I was like, well, maybe something funny will happen.
Yeah. And I've been trying to think, like, what about Warzone has made us feel this way? As I said, I've still been playing it a fair bit, but I pretty much only like come back for like when they did the new and improved version of Rebirth, which we're probably gonna jump into a bit later. It's like, oh, that was the case of like, oh, I'm really curious what they've done to Rebirth and such, and then we had this thing going on. But other than that, there's kind of been like definitely longer breaks compared with usual for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that I can't really nail it down to one aspect. I mean, Caldera is kind of one of them, but at the same time, it's, I don't know. We talked about this off air as well, and I think, at least for me, and I think this goes for you as well, Caldera is kind of in a sort of awkward spot in that it's fine as is.
Mm-hmm.
Its biggest problem is that it's not Verdansk.
Yeah, because this is one of the things I said off air, but I think we really took for granted how good a map Verdansk was.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people that when the moment Caldera was announced, were like, finally, color, green, no more just muted color palette. Granted, I think that was maybe a little more targeted towards Verdansk 84, and then I think Verdansk 84 is actually kind of ugly. For sure.
Yeah, I do prefer the general look of the modern day version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I preferred that too. Especially since like the point that I thought the point of interest were a lot better. With the one exception where I liked Verdansk 84 better is that they just literally added Nakatomi Plaza into the middle of downtown.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, you know what? This is funny. I like this.
Yeah.
I am okay with this. I'm okay with this blatant, tie-in, because that was just honestly funny. It's like, okay, yeah. I enjoy this, but I mean, it was a well-designed map because it's like it had open areas, it had urban combat areas, it had a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah.
And of course, with the battle royale formula of the circle continuously closing, you got to experience, if you survived all the way to the end, you could pretty much experience like major points of the entire map depending on how you travel and where the final circle ends up being.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, because we had final circles in downtown where we got close to winning. We had the one really great one where the final circle was up in the hills where we won as open price and quads.
Oh yeah,
that was really good. So, and of course that was technically on Verdansk 84, but I mean, that area didn't really change at all. It's just that they changed. So I mean, it was a really good map that had a lot of good, just a lot of good points of interest, and it was just in general well designed. I thought, and this map has some of that, but because like here we're going to this little military base here, like this area is fine. Actually, you know what? I don't even think I've been here before. But I like the little city area that they've kind of got. Like that's that's fine. It's like it's a. Oh yes, I shot out the guy on the minigun. I just sprayed and prayed. Oh, anti-air, yes.
No flying allowed. The skies belong to me.
This is a no-fly zone, good sir.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like this point of interest seems fine, but it's the space in between the point of interest where I really think it's the issue.
Yeah.
Is what I said the other day, is that it's just very busy. Like, you don't know whether or not the thing in front of you sometimes is lag spike.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It seems to lag whenever you're doing the secure area.
Oh really?
Contract, because it's been happening literally every time. Now it should be fine. At least it's fine on my end.
Yeah, no, it's fine on my end too now. So I'll really quickly wrap up the point about Verdansk. It's like, yeah, it's a good, the in between things are just kind of busy. It seems like it's like you don't know if that thing in front of you that's moving is a person, or if it's a tree in the wind, or it's foliage or something, where in Verdansk you could easily tell the difference. But that's another. What? Why am I getting hurt? What? What was that? Oh, that was the plane. That was the plane, wasn't it?
It's really hard. Like at this point, if you're just randomly taking damage for no reason, it's 100% a plane.
Okay.
And
yeah, because I was just minding my own business, and then there wasn't a direction indicator or anything. It's just like, you are now taking damage and you are downed.
Yeah, because I can confirm now that I've been flying around with planes for the last couple of days and shooting the Titans. The hitboxes on the planes are really odd.
Oh yeah.
Because when I would fly around, I would get hit markers for things. I'm like, I don't even see the things I'm hitting, but I can see them hitting a vehicle or something like that. You know, kind of the cog thing that shows up. And I just have no clue like what I'm actually hitting. So it's probably someone that may be shooting at Kong.
Well, no, there was a plane flying like right by us. Because I saw it swoop in.
Yeah, there was earlier, but I didn't see one this time. But I don't know, maybe I just missed it.
Yeah, I saw it, and it came into restriction right on us the second time.
Oh yeah, now I'm taking hits again.
Tracking enemy.
Like where? There it is. No fly zone, buddy. Disabled. Down. Aha!
Nice.
And splat.
Nice.
All right. Taken care of. So I mean that's a cool addition, but going back, so another reason why I think I have also sort of kind of ditched Warzone a little bit in recent times is a second ago we were like, oh, why is it lagging? Oh, it's only whenever you do the secure area contract. Is that Warzone's way buggier than it used to be, which is like the opposite of how it usually works, where a game might launch buggy but then it gets better over time. Warzone's the opposite. Like the more they update it, the more glitches and bugs are become a thing, and that's just like, how is this happening? It's like I didn't even know what was happening when we were hitting that lag spike. I thought it was just a lag spike, and you're like, oh, it's because it's the secure area thing. And then the second we were done with secure area, lo and behold, it stopped. So that's 100% what it was. It's like, this game's been out for two years, and that's never been a thing before, but now it is apparently. So
yeah, and the only reason I even knew that was because in the same game my squad was doing like back-to-back secure area missions, and every time there would be constant lag spikes. So I figured, okay, that's probably why. And this is also without taking it into account when Caldera first launched. Boy, were there glitches around.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It
sense because it wasn't even a new game. It was just a new map. So it's like, why is a new map causing all of these problems?
Yeah, it was
that
so
doesn't make
odd.
Sense.
And I suppose at this point they seem to have ironed out the worst offenders, but there's still stuff showing up every now and then, and even new stuff coming, like the secure area stuff. It's just, yeah, it's just. It's just gone downhill.
I think another issue I have is that, and this may not be an issue you have, so I'll be interested to see what you say, is that an issue I think I have is that the game is a little bloated at this point and filled with stuff for games I don't own and I don't care about. So the continued changes and things like, it's like, this is a World War II theme map. I don't own Vanguard. I don't plan on owning Vanguard. So the fact that all this stuff is Vanguard themed, it's just like a big meh for me. And there's a guy floating in the air.
Oh, floating that way.
Yep.
I assumed you were talking about the glitch.
No. There's a guy on a parachute. He's over here. But I mean, yeah, there's.
I mean, the fact that my mind immediately goes to, oh, is it a glitch? I think that says a lot about the current state of Warzone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an issue. But it's like I just don't. It's like, oh, sweet, an STG-44 to pick up. I don't care about using this at all because it's like, sure, I can level it up, I guess, but I would rather. Also, it's like, I just don't feel like the World War II weapons are as powerful as the weapons from Modern Warfare, either the era or the game. So it's like if I'm going to call in my loadout and get into a fight, I would just rather use my Modern Warfare weapons because they are, full auto. Where I mean, yeah, there's a lot of full auto weapons in World War II as well, but I mean, there's some others that are definitely very semi-auto. And even the ones that are full auto don't hit as hard as the Modern Warfare weapons because they're 70 years older.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the meta for the current rendition of Warzone because it's been all over the place and not necessarily in Vanguard's favor. Which part of me is like I in agreement with you in that I don't really like using. Like, I think the Vanguard weapons are fine, but the fact that they're kind of not as good as you'd assumed, you know, like I remember dropping into the Caldera when it first came out in the Vanguard Royale mode they had at the time, which
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised they removed that because see, that mode made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Is that because in regular Battle Royale, it's like, why would you use the World War II weapons when you could use something that's, 70 years newer that hits a lot harder? So it's like, so it seems like that the actual new weapons would just not be useful. So how do we make these weapons useful? Well, let's make a World War II only Battle Royale mode to advertise these things. I'm like, okay, great, that makes sense. I would have figured that they would stick with that and they wouldn't remove it, but then they removed it.
Yeah, and even in that mode, I remember dropping in with the M1 Garand, and granted, it is possible I may have just used a not great blueprint or whatever, but I mean that's a weapon you'd think should pack a punch, and
it's the M1 Garand,
and I feel like it doesn't. And on the one hand, as I said, it makes me like not really feeling like using any of the weapons. I think as of the loadouts I have now, only 2 of them are featuring
car is coming.
Yeah, I see. Are featuring Vanguard weapons, and one of those loadouts are literally only because it's a remnant from back when they had the Vanguard Royale mode. So it's like, yeah. But on the other hand, I'm also sorta... I wouldn't say glad about the state that they are in, but the fact that they aren't in a... Like, comparing with when the Cold War weapons came out, and they were clearly better than the Modern Warfare counterparts, which may or may not have been intentional. I think you could probably make the case for either, because as we've been also like talking a lot of around that time, is that it literally seemed that they just copy pasted the files from the Cold War engine to the Modern Warfare engine, which not only caused some issues in terms of like random glitches and everything, and even then it was nowhere near as bad as it is now, which also baffles me considering it's supposed to be running on the same engine.
Yeah.
But I mean, like with Modern Warfare and the Cold War, there was also a case of the base health being different in each games, and the weapons from each game being balanced around that fact, which of course makes sense. But then when you have weapons that are supposed to, like the Modern Warfare weapons that are supposed to deal damage to players with 100 health versus the Cold War weapons, which deals with players with 150. Yeah, one was definitely more powerful, but also and the more so that's like the it's the devs not really
paying attention.
Yeah, but on the flip side, you could also argue that that it was deliberate, because you know that's gonna make people use the Cold War weapons. They might be thinking that I want to use these weapons more, but it's kind of hard to level them up by just playing Battle Royale. Oh right, I can just play Cold War and I can just use them whenever, and also because of all the bundles, you know, being mostly featured around Cold War. So there probably was also a case of, it's, you know, let's see if we can make more money out of this, which I wouldn't be surprised by either. Okay, so
I think it's definitely possible where they did it by accident because they weren't paying attention. They were like, well, actually, you know, this is going to make people use these weapons, so that it became quote unquote deliberate.
It was a happy accident for them anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Here comes another Jeep.
Yeah. It did not. I can't tell if it took my bait or not. I guess it didn't. I threw down a AT mine.
I downed someone.
I don't think it helped.
Ow, ow, ow!
Less than 25 remain.
I guess there's no beating the king of monsters.
Nope. I had no ammo for my LMG, so that wasn't going to end well in close quarters like that.
And that's also a whole other can of worms, looking at all the skins and different bundles they've been releasing for Vanguard. We have these. We have Attack on Titan.
See, yeah, and that's another issue, is that even if the game were operating at peak performance and all these different things that they were doing were like good changes and the integration was going well, and all the weapons were fun to use, and blah 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 blah, and if the game was perfect on every other front, the fact that you've got all these crazy skins running around is just really kind of kills the entire aesthetic.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I have not really enjoyed what Warzone has done since its debut and since it was solely Modern Warfare because Modern Warfare, because gosh, it really does kind of seem like, based on, and everyone wants different things out of Call of Duty, which is fine, but based on what we've discussed in the past, what you and I want from Call of Duty is for it to be mature and realistic and to really earn that M rating in like thematics and not just in violence and gore and language. It's like, it's fine that if it has that in there too, but the Modern Warfare story taking itself so seriously and being told so well, even while having a couple of hiccups, and overwhelmingly being designed very well, and being the best campaign that they had made in years, and it's been arguably the top like 3 campaigns they've ever made in the entire series, and like the multiplayer, it's like, obviously the multiplayer rubbed people the wrong way, but I mean, again, different people want different things from Call of Duty, which is fine. We really liked the multiplayer, and again, it was, and it still had silly things in there, like the Riley execution with the dog. Yeah. It's like that's a touch on the silly side and a little more over the top and not as realistic. It's like, and but that's one of those cosmetic things that you just kind of have to accept. But I mean, and they had a couple silly costumes in there. Like the one guy had, like, he was a total red, white, and blue swim trunks and bandana and everything, and it's like, that was a total, it's like, America skin and everything. But I mean, but you know what? That was really as far as Modern Warfare. Well, okay, hold on. No, I'm forgetting about the anime skins. I'm forgetting about the anime skins because I purged them from me. So I mean, they did some things like that. For the most part, it was pretty grounded and realistic still.
Yeah,
and then Cold War comes in, and like their first batch of DLC, they're immediately going like, here's holographic gun skins that looks like it's dripping lava, and here's a zombie skin and all this other stuff, and it's like and now we've got Snoop Dogg and John McClane. So it's like, that's what this game is, and we're about to jump onto an island that has King Kong and Godzilla on it fighting, and it's like, that's what this game has become. Yeah. And it's like, if we hadn't been here for 2 years, you would think this would be a totally different game from Modern Warfare 2019.
Yep.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, it is, but it's just running on the same engine. But I mean, gosh, I don't like it. And it's one of those things where, they could be doing all this and I wouldn't really care all that much. It's like, okay, I don't particularly care for that, but you know what? If I don't like it, I just go play Modern Warfare. But it seems like they're deliberately doing things to make you to where you can't go play Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Because it's like, every time they do an update, you got to download more whatever packs. Like, I don't even know what they're called, like stability packs or whatever, so you can even play Modern Warfare, which is dumb. It's like, it's a game I paid for 2 years ago. Just let me play it.
Yeah, and I think arguably the even worse offender is that somehow, like, every other patch that are more intended for Warzone somehow manages to break the Modern Warfare multiplayer as well. And it was actually, I didn't play the multiplayer around the time when Caldera first came, but I saw a lot of stuff where, like, it wasn't just the Warzone portion that was straight up broken. Like, the multiplayer was also, like, really affected, and like got really, really buggy, and like had a lot of the same issues. So it was just, again, like, if it was just a thing of, okay, Warzone is kind of whatever, but at least regular Modern Warfare is still there. Except it kind of isn't, because it's also affected.
Yeah.
by all the shenanigans.
So they're taking the good thing and slowly ruining it. And I mean, overall, the Modern Warfare, it's still, I think the Modern Warfare multiplayer is still playable. It's that we got to continue to download patches. But, and I'm sure when they do the official reveal for Modern 2 Warfare, we will be doing a stream for that. I'm guessing.
100%.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to go back and speculate about what they'll do in the new game that we're looking forward to. But
and to be fair,
that's another reason why I'm excited for that. Yeah. Because it'll be a reset. It's like, all right, we're back to just Modern Warfare without any shenanigans. But that, and it's like your Godzilla skin will not carry over because it's going to be on a new engine. So it's like this is it. It's like you're for at least a year, if not more, because now there's the rumblings that they're not going to do a release in 2023 for the first time in over like 20 years. We'll whether or not that ends up being true, we'll have to wait and see, because some people have already taken that as gospel fact, and I'll believe it when I see it. But
yeah. I think if there would be a time for them to actually start doing it, I mean, the real logical, time to do that would have been instead of releasing Cold War and just giving Modern Warfare 2019 a year extra. Yeah. But seeing
and everyone would have been totally fine with that, because I mean the numbers for Warzone and Modern Warfare were still through the roof at that time, so it's like it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah,
they would have been fine.
And I would definitely have been like completely A-okay with Modern Warfare Year 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think looking at how things turned out for Cold War, which granted seemed well, and as I've been playing a fair bit since at least, when was it? I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been season 4 or something, but that was when they had kind of ironed out most of the issues, and it was perfectly fine game. That game's biggest problem really was being after Modern Warfare 2019
and being stuck on the previous engine.
Yeah, because if they had flipped those releases, then I think I would have been being like, oh, Cold War is actually like the return to form for this series. If I'm being perfectly honest, but the fact that and then Modern Warfare 2019 would have kind of been the next step in that.
The next evolution.
Yeah, but now it's really just Modern Warfare 2019 not only being the next evolution, but also being back to form. So Cold War just being like a more old school era COD, comparatively speaking. I think was the biggest issue, but seeing how that turned out, and it didn't sell quite as well. It was still very popular, and that game is also just like Modern Warfare 2019, even though there isn't a official Year 2, it has gotten some, in quotation mark, Year 2 content.
Like, they're still doing events and stuff for it, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I think they're doing something to do with
not events. That's not the right word for it. I mean, they're still adding content.
Content. Yeah, kind of similar to what they did with Modern Warfare 2019, just by except I think they had it more spread out compared with what they've been doing for Cold War. But even then, it's like, okay, that would have been the perfect time. And then we had the whole Vanguard situation, which we've been going through, in terms of like, okay, like if there was any time to delay a game, it would have been Cold War. But if it wasn't, it would definitely have been for Vanguard, because like all the rumors seem to suggest that, oh, it's kind of a dumpster fire. And in some ways I'd say that's definitely the case. I think as a game it's fine, and I will admit I am cutting them some. Like this game cannot have had a very long development schedule, so if there are issues, so the fact that there were some issues, or quite a few issues at launch, I'm like, okay, that's one thing. But then when you look as time has progressed, and that's also another reason why granted why I have been playing a bit of Vanguard. I have not I never got around to stream Season 2. I don't really have any plan to stream Season 3 for that as well, because it's kind of like, okay, they're not really taking this in the direction I would like to see, and not really improving the things they should improve, or add the things they need to add, and all stuff like that. Maybe not too dissimilar to a certain other big shooty bang bang FPS, except slightly different. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm just ready for modern 2 warfare.
That's not what I wanted to do.
So it's just
what?
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, I thought that was not what I thought I had at all.
To quote my favorite anarchist, this twisted game needs to be reset.
The enemy won this battle. We'll be back to finish the war.
I got so thrown off by what I thought I was deploying and what I ended up actually deploying that I basically just sat there and let myself get gunned down. Because I thought I had an ammo box, but instead I had a special weapon drop.
Huh.
So I'm like, I could use some ammo, and I dropped it, and then I just throw a red flare on the ground to call in a pickup. And I'm like, wait, what?
This isn't what I was asking for. This isn't what I ordered.
No.
So yeah, I just can't wait for the reset button, and I do hope that and I think this is also partly due to the current rumor that maybe they will actually not release a game next year and instead give Modern Warfare, or Modern 2 Warfare, excuse me, another year of content. Seeing that, okay, things didn't go great for Cold War, but I guess it's sort of picked up. Whereas for Vanguard, it's just it's not performing well at all. So maybe after these last 2 releases, just maybe we should actually put our eggs on this one game, and then give the other developers proper time to actually make their games, instead of being some rushed production.
Well,
as was the case with the last 2 games.
Right, and then because you know, they used to have ample time. They had their 3-year cycle, and it worked. But then Sledgehammer totally dropped the ball and got their pipeline all screwed up. And it's like, and I made this case on my channel that it's arguably the thing that started the snowball. That is the reason why Microsoft is buying Activision to begin with. It was the first thing to go, because if that hadn't happened, and you wouldn't have had Activision take devs off of making, Crash and Spyro remasters, or making new Crash and Spyro games, and moving Vicarious Visions to Blizzard, and just actually killing the team. The team no longer exists, and they're just merged into Blizzard now. And doing stuff like that. Would people have cared about? People would have still been upset, sure, but people have been upset at Activision, EA, and these companies about stuff like that for years, and nothing's ever really been done with it. So it's like, would anyone have really? So that's one of those things. It's like, would anyone have really cared that much without the other stuff going on? And was maybe this, everything they were doing, what got people to start talking about the allegations and against Bobby Kotick and stuff like that, and in general, because it's like, okay, we got to find some other dirt on them because we're so angry. So Sledgehammer's screwing up the pipeline potentially has caused this entire thing to snowball. Obviously, that's kind of conjecture-y. I get that, but it's fun. I feel like I made a pretty good. I think I made a better case for it on my channel that one day when it was all fresh and I was fired up about it. But
yeah, you did. And to put it into perspective, I remember bringing that back up again, I actually remember when you first brought it up on your stream, and I was like, that seems maybe a little far-fetched, but then you made your case, and I went, oh, yeah, you know, actually, I could see that being the case, the way you've laid it out, so, yeah, go back to that stream if you... If you,
I should go back and I should find it again and timestamp it, because it's like a 3.5 hour stream, and I don't want to. No one should have to watch the entire thing. Because I mean, I thought that was a pretty good stream. We had like a lot of good discussion throughout, but it's like for that specific moment, it probably should be timestamped.
Yeah.
Because that is like the big ending crux to my entire argument or whatever. But
to be fair, it was pretty like from the first second to, and I think it flowed pretty well, if I remember, as well as discussions can flow with our group. Like it actually flowed very well.
We took like a quick pause for like a half hour to talk about Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, but then we got back on topic pretty shortly after that. So yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Whoa, what?
What's going on?
I just had that moment that happened to you when someone just ran past you in a place where, like, how did you not notice me?
I love it when that happens.
Granted, I suppose in this case you could, I don't know, maybe it was a case of, oh, I really need to get in there to pick up a better weapon, but still, I had my back turned to you. You could have, you had a free kill.
Oh boy.
Someone go and get that.
Ooh. So yeah, what was I saying? Right, so I think after Sledgehammer dropping the ball and getting everything screwed, the pipeline screwed up and everything, and that's the reason why Cold War and Vanguard did not turn out as well. At this point, they've made 3 games on their own. Is it fair to say that Sledgehammer is cursed and maybe they shouldn't be on sole dev duty anymore?
I would say it depends on how they... I don't know, because that's also one of those things where... I mean, Vanguard is definitely a case of, okay, if that was their first game, I would have said that, okay, this dev should probably not be put on another COD game, even though I am kind of enjoying definitely bits of it, but as a whole, I'm like, I don't know. I think comparing Vanguard with their 2 previous game, I think it's just a case of, from their part, it's just not so much a problem with the talent, at least with those 2 games. It's just a problem of more of how it was used in a way, since Advanced Warfare was very much, okay, we have this whole... And I remember the ongoing discussion around the time was like, okay, this series is releasing a game a year, and they're pretty much the same every year. It's just they look slightly different. So like, okay, how do we solve that? And they probably went like, well, if we had a
overcorrected maybe.
Yeah, if we had jetpacks and stuff, maybe. Which, I mean, to be fair, they tried.
Yeah.
And then by the time they went, okay, we're gonna do this, to which Activision said, oh, that's great, let's make both Treyarch and Infinity Infinity Ward also do that, even though like that, I think I might have said this before at some point, but I think the biggest problem with that era of COD, i.e. Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, the setting isn't the problem. The problem was that it was the same setting and experience 3 games
for 3 years
in a row. Yeah. So by the time that's...
Exactly, it was too much too soon.
So then it was a case of, okay, I mean, just looking at the Infinite Warfare reception when it was first announced. I think another future-based COD would have been doomed by that point. I know that, or I seem to recall some sort of internal discussion there, like, okay, should we make a follow-up to Advanced Warfare, or do we make a World War II game? And it was kind of like split evenly within the team, with Activision being in favor of the World War II setting, because they were like, well, looking at it from a marketing standpoint, like, okay, we now have a whole bunch of futuristic CODs, and the reception
and
for
a
them
bunch of angry people.
Yeah, are getting angrier and angrier, so maybe it's time to go back in time, and which they ended up doing. And again, I think the problem with that game isn't so much the setting or the talent behind it, but more that it kind of feels, I don't know, forced in a way, because it doesn't really do anything unique in terms of
Enemy team is tracking your position.
World War II shooters. And
I mean, if I remember correctly from videos from the time, it even didn't do things that well that World at War years prior had done better.
Yeah, and that's also one of the sticking points where, and I think I even remember us having this discussion after it had been free with PlayStation Plus and you had played the campaign. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think I made a case of saying that if I were to recommend someone based on PS4 games, a World War II game, COD World War II would not have been the first game I would recommend. And even if we broaden that expanse to every World War II game, I wouldn't say, you know, I would even have gone as far as to say that, as outdated as it is, the original COD is overall a better experience. And and the prior CODs, because they, as limited as they might have been and outdated, they still did what they did really well. And also, and this is a point that also that I didn't make at the time, but it's actually it's actually kind of ironic how you know, COD World War II was kind of like, oh, it's literally, you know, World War II the game as we've been seeing throughout the history of World War II games. But what's actually ironic is that if we look at the original COD and afterwards, their whole stick was actually, ironically enough, kind of telling the stories of the more unknown battles.
Yep.
Because, I mean, the original one, sure, it had the American campaign, but I don't think the 101st Airborne had really been done that much. And even still, like, there was definitely not many games doing the British exploits, let alone the Soviet ones.
Oh gosh, has anyone even touched the Soviets since World at War?
I think it's the only thing I can think of is Red Orchestra.
See, I haven't even heard of that.
Which is, I mean, yeah, and that's because it's probably you haven't heard of it because it's a PC-only, very hardcore game where you die in like one bullet or something like that.
That'd do it.
So that's saying quite a bit. But even then, when they did feature D-Day in COD 2, it was they didn't even do the Omaha beach landing. They did another one, which I forget which one it is, but it's the one where they had to scale up clips.
Right.
Clips.
Yeah.
So it's like even when they did more known stuff, it was still within the, you know, this is not, you know, not as commonly told as, and so it's. And granted, that ironically also makes COD World War II the first COD game that actually features those, you know, the D-Day operation and all that, ironically enough. But in terms of like World War II games in general, it's like, okay, yeah, it's nothing new under the sun there. It's just all the same stuff. And then you have Vanguard as well, which, granted, I think the context of that game is a little different, since there was a lot of people that left Sledgehammer after World War II. The game, not the war. I realized how that sounded from a phrasing. And I think that was also like part to do with it. But I don't know if they actually like restructure the developer. I wouldn't be opposed to giving them a new game, as long as they actually get to pick something they actually really want to do, as opposed to, you know, I suppose you could say that, oh, they did want to do COD World War II, because, well, at least half the team did. Whereas with Vanguard, I feel like the World War II option wasn't picked of a artistic direction, but more like, okay, what can we quickly throw together?
Exactly. Yeah.
And like our last game was a World War II game. Well, I guess we're gonna have to make another one, just port stuff over to the Modern Warfare 2019 engine. And that was actually one of the things that I remember back when Modern Warfare 2019 was announced, was that Activision even said back then that they didn't that they weren't exactly planning on having another World War II based COD. 2 years later, they release another World War II based COD. And I think with the sales of that, and at least with their explanation, it being due to the setting, which I think is only 1/4 of the truth. If we're being real, like, sure, I'm sure Vanguard being set during World War II might have limited the sales compared with either Cold War or Modern Warfare, but I don't think the setting was really the main problem here in terms of why Vanguard is not performing well at all.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, I absolutely think it's got to do with part of it, but then you have, I don't know, you also got so many other stuff that plays into this, like the game, like regardless of setting, it's kind of whatever. The fact that you have all the allegations going on, like, isn't helping either. So if anything, I think probably the setting is the least, like, or rather the factor that has the least to do with this game failing. Since, I mean, World War II did relatively well, if I recall. Like, it wasn't doing great, but it was definitely doing better than some of the futuristic ones.
Fuck yourself. Go easy. I've got you.
Well, we've just been killing a bunch of people, haven't we?
Yeah, here we are going, let's look into the intricacies of why Sledgehammer Games is not as respected as a studio as Infinity Ward or Treyarch. Meanwhile, we're going, everyone dies!
Yeah. I'm actually genuinely surprised we've been we've been managing to have a coherent discussion while also not completely failing in the gameplay department. That's impressive, actually.
Uh-huh.
You got gas inbound. Safe zone relocation.
Oh, great. Time to quick run.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, I was able to...
Oh, boy. maybe I should.
I'm here.
One of them's pushing.
Yeah, I see it. I'm gonna plant a claymore over here, see if it helps.
Dip Dog is down. Someone else is down. Oh, heat rate.
My claymore broke armor on one. Oh boy! Oh boy! Get out of here!
Nice knowing you.
Just forget about me. Whoa! That's a body that's flying really high!
Squad wiped.
Oh. Flying in the sky. Ragdolls in Warzone in general are pretty great, but they've been amazing this event.
Shots over here.
I'm hearing that sniper fire, but I can't see where it's coming from.
Yeah, I can't figure it out either.
Alright. Blueberry's on his own. I'm running with orange. Speaking of running with, I should probably actually catch up to them. Ah! Nope. Mantle system! I want a mantle system!
Oh yeah.
Or rather, a better one. That guy just got taken out. I think we've got the high ground. Oh no! Cone's Wrath! Cone's Wrath! We're in the middle of it! Okay, no longer in the middle of it as much. I'm waiting for the big rock. Is there gonna be a big rock?
Yep.
There it is.
It comes.
Yep.
It was just really far away.
Let's get you some content.
Yeah! Let's see.
3 squads, 8 people left, and so... Oh.
Oh yeah, they're all by the boat or the ship.
No.
Whoa! I almost got hit by Godzilla's tail. Oh boy, I'm stuck. I'm not stuck anymore. Let's see if I can actually find something. Oh boy, oh boy. Oof.
There's one left.
Finish this once and for all.
Come on, let me up. Let me up.
Yep, there we go.
Oh!
Let's get you home.
Haha, we did it! I can't wait to see our damage levels. Oh, of course we won. We had a rose skin.
Yeah, no wonder.
Okay, that John McClane face, though, that was pretty much him having a smoke with Bob Clark or whatever.
That was Well, that was a sight to be seen.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Yeah, I had 4,000 damage, oh my gosh!
Holy crap. Yeah, we really went to town there.
Error, you've been disconnected from the servers.
Really?
Error code 8192, and then I've just got a bunch of binary after it, okay? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not... It's like on the... Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this menu screen since launch day. Huh. I may have to restart my game here.
Huh.
Hold on. Oh wait. Oh, there I am. I'm back on. That was weird though.
Yeah, that was very weird.
Did you get kicked out too? Excuse me.
Nah. All it says is that you left the party.
Huh. I did not do that willingly. I guess the game said, "All right,
yeah,
you gotta cool down for a second there, bud. You killed too many people, even by our standards."
There we go. I was actually just about to like, maybe I should ask if you got the invite.
Nah, I got it. It just took forever.
Yeah. As it seemed to do. Thanks, Warzone. But yeah, I think it's time for something a little bit different.
I'm good with that. I mean, hey, that's a good one to end on. For Kong Royale or whatever it's called.
That's one way to put it. So yeah, let's jump into the well, at this point it's not newly renovated, but the newer Rebirth Island.
The update.
Yeah, the updated. Which I think both of us are fairly happy with.
Yeah. Well, and see, I've liked Resurgence, or Rebirth Island rather, from the beginning. It's like, okay, this is a good smaller battle royale map. This is good. It also helps that basically most of it is all urban combat, and I prefer, in terms of FPS games, I prefer urban combat over all other settings. So.
Yeah, that would help then. Yeah, it's always been a great compliment to Verdansk, and I suppose it's an even greater compliment to Caldera now, since.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like like with Verdansk, there could be moments where I would just continuously drop into Verdansk and not really caring about Rebirth. But now I'm definitely, like, whenever I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of sick and done with Caldera, let's jump into some Rebirth Island, because it's consistently fun, let's put it that way.
I think we've also had more wins on Rebirth, which, granted isn't necessarily totally fair to say because it's a very different map from the larger Battle Royale maps, but...
Yeah, and also different experience with the whole Resurgence aspect, and there's fewer players, but I mean, but still. It's, I mean, I'd still say that, it's not quite the same, but at the same time, I think it kind of counts. But although I might be biased in that, since my first solo win was actually on Rebirth Island, so I might be biased in that regard as well too. Just like, oh, but that was my first solo win, so it counts. That still counts.
I'll take the ship.
Let's see. Ooh. Is it possible? Is it possible? Oh, I think I'm too close to the ground.
Primary objective is to eliminate
to make a cool action hero jump from parachute to to chopper. Oh, where's that?
It's behind us.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a helicopter right in front of us.
Dogfight! Or maybe not, since he landed. Oh no!
Oh, your body went all over the place.
Oh, it shot me out. I did crack his armor, but oh well.
You aren't done yet.
Come on. I disagree with that entirely, but...
I took back our chopper. Oh no!
Never mind. Never mind.
He even made more perfect that John McClane was going, John, what the F are you doing?
That is good. That is good.
Oh.
Okay, this might be a little mean.
Do better this time.
Oh! Stealing a chopper and killing him with it. That's perfect. Man, I do absolutely love the more... Oh boy.
Precision airstrike! Oh yeah, I heard it. I heard him say it. I heard him say it this time.
Oh boy. What? Oh! Rose skin on the roof!
Yeah, I see him. I see him. Alright.
25 still remain in the AO. You've got a second chance. Make it count.
Well, there's a bouncing Betty with his name on it if he tries to go down the stairs. So.
Ah, dang it. Apparently going for the loadout was a bad idea.
Knock that shit off.
Ooh, this thing has low health. Special delivery!
Returning you to the front lines. Go get them. You've got a loadout drop inbound. Reinforcements are on the way. Enemy UAV active. Enemy dropping into the AO. You got gas inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Oh.
Reinforcements are on the way. Enemy cluster strike. Watch your heads.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, slightly better bar. and an MP40 that I hope has the incendiary rounds.
Reinforcements are on the way.
Ooh, cluster strike.
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
So, in the...
Being shot at.
Yeah, that, and not in the crazy crossover event thingy. I don't know about you, but at this point, I've seen my fair share of video game crossovers and whatnot. So I thought that this might be a good time to kind of talk about, okay, we have ranted about the Godzilla one now, but are there any video game crossovers that we feel like, you know, that was actually very good, and it doesn't have to just be this game, of course.
Into the area. Watch the skies.
I can live with that.
I don't know, because in terms of
she just jumped in like.
Yeah, that's that one that got us earlier, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, another rose.
Yep.
You
because
just know,
I don't know if, like, a video game like Call of Duty suddenly getting licensed material in it, or like Fortnite, obviously that's a good example as well. I don't know if that's really, because it's like, because you know, like you said, that's a crossover. I just don't know if there's really been, because the only examples I can really, you may have other examples that I'm not thinking of, and when you say want to go, oh, okay, so maybe I'll give it over to you here in a second, but I just really can't think of anything other than, you know, like like this stuff that we've got where it's like, this makes no sense and it's made just to make a buck crossover. Why is Godzilla and King Kong in this Call of Duty game?
Oh, how do I get
Whoa, that guy did a whole slide across the floor like he was in Battlefield 4.
Oh, wow.
So I can't really think of anything, so if you have any examples, then please let them rip, so maybe I can think of something.
Yeah, like in terms of video game crossovers, the only one I can think of that I've experienced has either been through COD or through a from the one time the Ace Combat series did a free-to-play game, and they had like different crossovers with different things and with varying degrees of content. Ironically enough, there was a Godzilla crossover with that game as well at some point.
You've got a second chance. Make it count.
But I think that one in particular was kind of in the category of, oh, this is a Bandai Namco property, so it's kind of a, and that's another point. Like, does it really count as a crossover if it's technically a crossover with itself? Because it was because I believe there was a Godzilla game by Bandai coming out around the time, and they then had a whole thing with Godzilla would show up on the map.
This guy is so sweaty. This rose skin that we keep getting killed by is so sweaty. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
that's
okay.
Obvious PC player is obvious. It's like, oh my gosh.
And there were some other ones like that, but I think what ended up being my favorite from that game, and even then it's not, maybe not necessarily it's my favorite in terms of what they did, but more of a I don't know, I suppose I guess to put it that way, if the idea, and well, I say if, but really the idea behind doing a crossover like this is that both parties are expecting something out of it, i.e., in the case of this, you know, well, ideally, the Godzilla King Kong event would have been around the time the movie came out, and it would have been like where people that were already playing Warzone, they could play the event and maybe get excited for the movie or something like that, and be like, oh, this was fun, maybe I should watch the movie. Or those that are fans of the movie, they might go, oh, like they got some of that content in that game that is free and download, that I can just download and play. Maybe I should do that. So I suppose if we're taking that into consideration as well, I suppose it all, because I think at the end of the day that's kind of where I think, at least I would say, where, okay, that makes me more excited for something. Because, I mean, case in point, I spent $20 on the John McClane bundle because I love the Die Hard movies that much. And it was like, okay, fine, you got me this time.
Yeah.
But that was a case where I actually loved...
it's a 1v4.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh boy. I'm gonna dial back on my discussion here to give you a fair chance.
You little drop-shotting words I'm not gonna say out loud. I mean, come on! That's so cheap!
Yeah, I agree. I hate.
And if I
hate that.
And I had just a gun, yeah, and I had, and you know, I hit like every shot, but the problem was I didn't have one of my own guns. I had a random pickup gun, so it wasn't doing as much damage as Mr. Dropshotter's gun. It's annoying.
But yeah, in the case of the 80s action heroes, that was the case where, oh, I mean, I like both properties, so I don't know. I suppose they succeeded in that I forked over $20 for the bundle, but I think in terms of like what I would say, okay, that would make it a crossover that serves its function. Would actually, if I go back to Ace Combat Infinity again, they had a crossover with a manga called Area 88, which is basically manga Top Gun in a way. So that's a case of, okay, not only is that a crossover that actually makes sense in that, okay, you have two properties that are about pilots flying planes, which is actually funny. I'm bringing that up because history is kind of repeating itself with the upcoming Top Gun DLC crossover for 7.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
But and that was the case where, okay, they added they added some skins for planes that were tailored around certain characters, and that actually made me curious to check out a anime, relatively recent anime adaptation of it, and made me go, okay, that was actually pretty decent. I'm not huge on anime, but if I were to watch an anime, it would absolutely be something like that. And they had some good moments. It was a little too anime in some regards, but not completely over the top, as you know, a lot of the stuff.
Some are.
Yeah, that you just listen to whenever Daxter talks anime, and you go like,
oh, yeah.
What even is happening? Like,
yeah.
Comparatively speaking, that was a lot more tame, since it was still more down to earth. It had some moments that were still, okay, this is definitely an anime, but it was far more tolerable. So I suppose in that regard, that might be what I would say, okay, that might have been my favorite crossover, because it made me curious about the other property. and I ended up enjoying this other property, and consequently, when I had the skins in the game, like it made me kind of enjoy that aspect more. Of like, okay, this is something that I ended up enjoying. So now having these particular skins actually makes an already enjoyable game.
Are we in duos?
I have no clue. I
hope we're in duos.
I have no clue what I clicked on.
Because I'm noticing it's just the two of us. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, well, since it's just the two of us, helicopter to the left, let's go!
Helicopter time! Get to the chopper!
Exactly. Wrong 80s action hero, but it works.
Oh, someone else is coming for the chopper.
It is not duos because those guys were able to revive themselves, so...
Yeah, okay. So we were just unlucky.
Yeah.
With the matchmaking.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no one on the roof. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, that was fast.
Come on, come on. Using stealth. Oh, no. I just got a few shots off, but none of them hit.
Well, while you were talking, if you were done with your main point.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So while you're talking, I did think of, I think, a good crossover video game crossover with other properties. And you're probably going to go, oh yeah, that is a good one. Rocket League, because they've done a whole bunch of crossovers with different cars and stuff, and I've never bought. It's never worked with me because I just don't play Rocket League that often. I really want to sink any money into it. But
same.
You know, I see them do like different Batmobiles or the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Oops, sorry. Or the DeLorean from Back to the Future or something. I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. That would be cool if I played this game more and I wanted to sink money into it. So I think, and it's not do. Oh, there you go again. It's a little fun thing that you can do if you like both Rocket League and the property that's you know, it's repping or whatever. So I mean, I feel like that's probably a good choice.
Yeah. I do think in general the best crossovers are the ones that aren't completely over the top, where, okay, this actually makes a degree of sense. Like, I do it. Oh boy.
If you go down now, the operation is
and the chopper's dead too.
Gas is moving.
Oh boy. I don't remember if there's any more choppers. Oh wait, there's one more.
Yeah, there's one on the very edge. I marked it.
Let's go.
One of your allies is back in the game.
I can live with that.
Oh, you're getting in there much quicker than I am. Although that's probably for the best.
I still had my parachute,
yeah.
So. Except, you might survive longer than I will, because these people are just lighting me up.
Oh.
It's all on you until squad mates redeploy.
I think you might have had a point there.
Oh my gosh, all the sweats come out to play on Resurgence. Because, I mean, you should have, this person looked like they had ADHD. They're just looking left, right, and center all over the place, waggling their little mouths around.
Yeah.
Learn from the loss and come back stronger.
Well, that probably went as well as we could have expected, considering we were dropped in on our own, so.
Yeah, that's so. There's a proper squad. Yeah, that's probably the downside with Rebirth right now, is that it seems all the sweats have gravitated towards it. Okay, now I'm absolutely sure I pressed on quads. Let's hope we actually get a quad, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're gonna be in for a bad time. But yeah, Rocket League is actually a great example, and I haven't even been paying attention to the majority of the crossovers. I've only seen like the odd one or two, but yeah, that's absolutely a crossover, or a game where the crossovers.
Since they got bought out by Epic,
yeah, and
since they've been adding more and more and more and more. But again, with Rocket League, it makes sense because you can add a car. That's like you can add the mystery machine from Scooby-Doo, and it totally makes sense because it's car related. You can't put, I don't know, I feel like it would be weird if you're running around as Shaggy or Velma from Scooby-Doo in Fortnite murdering people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of crossovers, hot from the presses. So today they have some sort of big final major league or something for Rainbow Six Siege, which is also when they decide to reveal the next season. And I haven't really looked at this because it's been happening as we've been going through live.
Yeah, I think I saw the exact same thing during our last break.
Yeah, I've only seen like something that Peel have mentioned apparently about Warden potentially being useful, but the crossover is I'm seeing a bundle here with a Yakuza bundle in Rainbow Six Siege, and I can't believe we've gone through I suppose the first discussion was about crossovers with COD. And the second being crossovers in general, but more about the good ones. Siege is one where the most cursed crossovers have happened, I feel.
Yep.
In general.
Gotta love those Rick and Morty bundles with Fuse and Sledge or whoever it is. Or Doc. It's Doc and Doc and Fuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
and now Yakuza, together with Rick and Morty and that Spanish Netflix original Money Heist or whatever it's called in English. Resident Evil, Lara Croft. Oh boy. Okay, so I suppose this is a good opportunity to go. Okay, so that was our favorite in general game crossovers. What's our least favorite ones?
Most of the stuff Fortnite does.
Yeah. Like Obi-Wan.
Window.
Yeah, I see him. I sure love the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi is gonna run around doing uncivilized things in Fortnite.
Yeah. Oh no!
Oh!
That's a good
for you! I did get into the driver's seat, but I think it was 1 second too late.
Yeah. I feel like with every kill you get with Obi-Wan in Fortnite with a gun, he should go so uncivilized.
Yeah.
Just every kill. Doesn't matter. If you kill someone with a pickaxe or whatever, fine, because I'm sure they have a pickaxe that looks like a lightsaber, but if you get it with a gun, it should be so uncivilized.
Yeah.
Supply box located.
I do think in general that probably like a lot of the stuff, well, Fortnite is a given, but I think Siege also, probably comes into my least favorite ones, because for as random as some of the COD ones are, like Godzilla and Kong, at the very least we do get like a half-decent event around it that, okay, the skins I could live without, but there are some some fun moments to be had. I mean, I think this event is probably the most fun I've had had in Warzone in a very, very long time. As silly as it is.
Yeah.
So like at the very least, I suppose Warzone has that going for it, where you do get some fun event out of it. Whereas, you know, you look at the Siege, you just get Rick and Morty stuff. Granted, I don't think I would have liked to see a Rick and Morty event per se, because that would have been arguably more cursed still, but I don't know.
Well, see, it would have just been a reskinned, you know, Doc Frankenstein, whatever that event was, where you just go around as the monsters, and Rick would have been the Frankenstein guy.
Yeah,
so that's
true. Not preferable, but at least okay. And even still, like, that would have been something that, you know, if I didn't care about it, I could pretty easily ignore it. Pretty hard to ignore when you get killed by someone that is that is dressed like Rick and Morty, or Rick or Morty, I should say. That was a bad call. Holy crap! How many decided to just lit up on me? Oh, and speaking of meta, apparently a rather old STG-44 blueprint has become the meta.
Oh, of course.
It's not the weapon, it's just the blueprint. And I think that's also tying back to Vanguard's weapons. You know, that's saying something as well, that it's not even the weapon that is meta, it's a specific blueprint with a specific set of attachments. Okay.
Squad member is redeploying.
Let's go with my sniper loadout and see if that helps any.
Well, there's a person like in that building you're looking at right there. Just FYI. There's also a person in the building you're right next to.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Snoop Dogg. Oh boy. Come on. I was hoping that the rose skin would take the bait.
Less than 25 remain. They hit us out that time, but we'll settle the score.
I love how even now, speaking of meta, even now you know that if someone's using a rose skin, they're a sweat.
Yeah.
Like, the skin gives them no actual tactical advantage anymore because you can actually see them. Yeah. But they still use it.
Yeah. And they still
just because
play the sweaty way.
Uh-huh.
It's actually kind of funny. That's the one thing that hasn't changed about Warzone.
Yeah. Sweats still use the rose skin.
Yeah. At least you can count on them being consistent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we should probably hope that this last one goes well, because I probably need to be going so I can actually get to bed.
Yeah, because you came straight home from work, didn't you? From the night shift.
I went out and ate with my mom and my grandma, and came home. But then before that, I came back from work from the night shift, and before that, I went to work from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah,
so
I forgot to ask.
I've been up since 9 last night.
Speaking of things crossing over with each other in a weird multiverse, how was Doctor Strange?
Okay, so I'll be pretty spoiler free here. Then I did not like it. I did not dislike it. I was okay. That was a movie. I will say that I went in having spoiled myself on the entire thing, just because I was not sure how I was going to feel about it. So I went ahead and read a plot synopsis, the Wikipedia plot synopsis just beforehand, and I was like, because it's one thing reading a plot synopsis, and then it's another thing watching the movie and seeing how it really unfolds.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can read a plot synopsis. Well, that sounds stupid, and it is incredibly stupid. But like, if you read the plot synopsis of the Lego Movie, that sounds like the stupidest movie of all time, and it's not going to be any good. But if you actually watch the Lego Movie, it's one of the best animated movies ever made for a multitude of reasons.
Oh yeah.
So I read the plot synopsis and I'm like, well, this could definitely go several different ways. So I'd be curious to see how it actually turns out. Now, you know that I'm not really a Sam Raimi fan. I don't particularly enjoy the first 3 Spider-Man movies that he directed, which in this day and age is kind of blasphemy, because I feel like there for a time I feel like it was actually cool to hate on them, and I felt very happy about that. But then as time has gone on, they've become cool again. Those are the Spider-Man movies. So it's like it's now an unpopular opinion to not like those. I never liked them. There was something about Spider-Man crossing over with the very corny directing style that Sam Raimi has that I just didn't feel. I never felt meshed. I was like, I remember watching the original and Spider-Man 2 back in like 2012 or something like that, and going, people like these, and then immediately watching Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man afterward, going, oh, that is so much better.
Oh wow.
So yeah, not a fan of Raimi's directing style, which is one of the reasons I was trepidatious about Multiverse of Madness. And you know what? I think for Doctor Strange, his directing style works.
That's interesting. That's borderline. That's borderline praise coming from you in terms of a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah. Because there were several things where it's like, okay, this is something straight out of the Evil Dead, even though I've never seen those movies, but I know enough about them. I know enough about them, about what they're about and what they do, and everything. So I was like, okay, you know what? For what this movie's trying to do and everything, getting the director for Evil Dead for these is working very well for this movie. Now, is the story any good?
Oh, no. I somehow managed to avoid getting into the water 2 times, only to land on it in the 3rd time.
Oh, nice.
3rd time's the charm, except it's for bad luck.
So whether or not the story is any good is your mileage may vary. I think that's going to be left up to the viewer, because there's some people that are going, oh, the story's great, and then there are others going, the story's terrible. I think the story is totally meh. It is very reliant on having seen WandaVision, which for some people, if they go in, they haven't seen WandaVision, they're going to be so lost and they're not going to enjoy the movie very much. And then there's other people that are going to go into this movie having seen WandaVision, and they're not going to enjoy this movie very much. And then there are going to be people that watch WandaVision, they're going to go into this movie and they're going to enjoy it very much. So it really just depends on the person. I feel like and what some personal tastes are at.
And that moment when you said that, that it might be somewhat reliant on having seen WandaVision, that in a nutshell sorta kinda sums up my problem with the MCU currently, in that and I don't know, it's also one of those your mileage may vary, because I didn't really have a problem with it earlier per se, when they were building up to Infinity War and Endgame, because I was actually like very excited and into it, whereas after Endgame I was kind of like, okay, now I feel like I've experienced like the thing I wanted to experience. So so ever since then, like most of the Marvel or MCU announcements have kind of been okay. I don't like. I've have the more selective, or being more selective, I suppose. Which I suppose right now does seem to be the way you can go about it, because I don't think there is like a greater storyline or plot point they're building towards. I mean, sure. I suppose you could argue that the whole multiverse thing.
Yeah, I think that's it for right now.
But I think that's more of a common theme based on what I've been seeing so far.
That's definitely another way to look at it. Yeah.
So to be fair, there isn't really a whole thing where, oh, you need to have seen X, Y, and Z movie in order to get the W movie.
Well, and also another thing is that not only do you have to have seen WandaVision to really get a full, you have to see that, but you've also probably need to have seen several episodes of What If.
Yeah.
Which is the animated show that asks the question, what if X?
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll also it's like, now that's not required viewing, it will help, but it's definitely more of a more of something that would be helpful to fully appreciate a couple things and cameos and little wink nod nods. But for me, the story was there. The story, unlike most Marvel movies, was more an excuse to let Sam Raimi do Sam Raimi things. And actually, I mean, the story actually feels less like a Doctor Strange story, and it feels more like a Scarlet Witch story. So if you're going in, and it's like, I guess I was like, there's some people going, well, I didn't really understand who Doctor Strange was after him having his one solo movie already, and being in countless other, like Spider-Man and Avengers, etc. So, but now I really understand who he is, and there's a little bit of that. But who has the more impactful story in the movie? I think it's the Scarlet Witch. So I think that's definitely something that might irk some people, is that this is less a Doctor Strange movie and more of.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem, and if I think I am gonna see the movie at some point, probably. But knowing beforehand now that it's kind of more of a not necessarily Scarlet Witch movie, but the more. The character that it seems to be more focused on that. Knowing that will definitely help, I feel, as opposed to just like going in. Okay, now I'm here for Doctor Strange 2, and then it's like, oh wait, why is there so much stuff focusing on Scarlet Witch?
Yeah,
and
another thing is that sometimes Marvel movies have that kind of wow moment in like the story of something they've done. It's like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. It's like, the story doesn't have any of those moments. It's the fight scenes and certain things going on that it's like, oh, I did not see this coming, and this is a really cool thing that they're doing right now. But it's solely contained to this fight, and if they had choreographed the fight differently, then we don't get this moment. So that's another thing that it's like it's a plus for like the fights, but the fact that it's not necessarily reliant on the plot. Those moments that gives me more of feelings about it overall. It's like it's certainly watchable, and there are it's like there was never a. Now this was also partially because not only did I spoil the movie for myself prior, but also the teaser, the trailers and TV spots and stuff also teased a lot of the big crowd reaction moments.
That's true.
Yeah, but kind of like imagine if the Spider-Man trailers.
Oh yeah.
It's not to the same extent, but if they showed like a short little glimpse or a tease about the idea of multiple Spidey men, and And so it's like, oh well, gee, now it's like, I mean, we knew they were coming, but we didn't know 100% for sure. It was just like, well, of course they're gonna do this, but there was never any actual pre-release material aside from leaks to suggest that this was actually a thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So with Doctor Strange though, it's, I mean, they totally just, I mean, you watch a couple of TV spots and it's like, oh well, there's the big cameos in the movie.
Yeah.
So those weren't, big shocking revelations to go whoa about in the theater. There was never, and then other than that, the story doesn't really have any other moments like that for the most part, except for, like I said earlier, with a couple fight scenes, which is like, well, I mean, if the fight wasn't necessarily like this, then we don't get that moment. So that's not relying on the story; that's relying on the choreography and stuff. So. But I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a Marvel movie. I enjoy Marvel movies. It was fun. I got to eat popcorn and stuff. I did not have a bad time, but it was over, and I kind of went, oh, okay. Which is, I haven't done that to a Marvel movie in a long time.
Allied cluster strike arriving.
Honestly, I felt more like I watched an extended episode of one of the Disney Plus shows from Marvel more than I watched one of the movies. Which, that you can take that however you will, but it's like, I've definitely had more of a fun time with Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy or Iron Man movies or anything like that than I did with. I had more fun with the first Doctor Strange movie, actually, I feel like, but that was also mostly because it's like it was a new thing, so we didn't really know what to expect, so that helped for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think it's kind of ironic that my current problems with the MCU is kind of like, okay, they're throwing a bunch of stuff there, and it even though they aren't telling a cohesive story, it still kind of feels like that you have to be caught up with everything to really follow what's happening, even though I think based on what I've watched so far doesn't actually necessarily seem to be that case. Like, if anything, that might be that might actually have been a bigger problem with say Infinity War or Endgame, but at the same time that's kind of what those movies are supposed to be.
Right.
This big, okay, this is what everything has been building up to. But and also because back then I was actually like really excited about the stuff that was happening in the MCU, whereas with after Endgame, I kind of feel like I've had my
only 5 remain.
I wouldn't say fill of it, but I've kind of like, okay, now I've kind of had this big epic journey that's a story that's been told through the span of 20 plus movies or something like that. Now I'm just kind of in a position where I want to pick and choose what I want to watch. Like, say, okay, I'm still gonna watch Spider-Man because I love Spider-Man, and I might see. I mean, the new Thor movie looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's another thing. I'm looking forward to Thor, but I'm not super invested with Thor because if you look at his journey throughout the MCU, it's been all over the place.
Yeah.
And some would point to that as being, well, his first 2 movies weren't that good. It's like, well, I mean, you could definitely think that, but they also have either deliberately or accidentally made sure that his arc like contradicts itself because you look at the end of Thor Ragnarok and it actually completes his arc from the first movie, where first movie he's this boy that wants to be king and he learns that he should not be king. Thor 2, he's seen a bunch of stuff with the Avengers and now he's like, I'm not so sure I should be king. The third Thor movie, he is like, totally against the idea, because he's like, I've seen what ruling does to people, what wanting to rule did to myself, did to Loki, did to my father. I'm really not wanting to do this, but it's better than letting my sister that I didn't know I had rule everything and be an evil queen and whatnot. And so he reluctantly accepts the throne. He's accepted his position. He's like, all right, I am king now. That's what's going to happen. And then, like, immediately afterward, 5 minutes later, Thanos shows up, kills everyone, and traumatizes Thor into going, okay, I shouldn't be king after all. And it's like, and so it's like, for anyone, I enjoy Ragnarok a lot. It's a fun movie.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not so sure it's, and it, like I said, it completes its arc. But I'm not so sure it's a good Thor movie, because ultimately it ends up being more inconsequential than Dark World or the first Thor movie, because the first two Thor movies at least have Infinity Stones in them.
Yeah.
Where the only thing Ragnarok accomplishes is that it completes an arc, only for that arc to then get cast aside moments later in the timeline, and it's basically a funny setup to get him to the beginning of Infinity War. So, and then he has Infinity War. Then he turns into Fat Thor in Endgame, which is like further going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And it's like, this seems 180 from what he should be doing. And then at the end of Endgame, he's like, all right, Valkyrie, you take the throne. And she's like, all right, I am going to accept this position and take the throne. And now with Love and Thunder, it seems like Valkyrie doesn't want the throne. It seems like Thor doesn't want the throne, and now he wants to be a pacifist or something. And so it seems like that, at least from the one initial trailer we have, that like Thor and Valkyrie are going to repeat like the exact same character arcs that they had in Ragnarok, because that's where Taika Waititi wanted to take them, and he did take them there, but that's not where Marvel wanted to take them. And so there's actually kind of a subtle creative vision clash behind the scenes, and so now they're just going to repeat character arcs. And so it's like, it's one of those things where people say, oh, Ragnarok is so much better than, these Taika Waititi movies are so much better than the first two Thor movies. And it's like, are they more fun movies? Again, Love and Thunder's not out yet, so Love and Thunder could turn out to be a steaming train wreck before all we know. I doubt that's going to happen, but anything is possible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were just playing an event with a giant monkey and a giant lizard in Call of Duty, so anything is possible. But I think it's probably going to be a good movie. But but are his two movies that he's making really actively moving the character forward, when the higher ups at Marvel then most likely immediately pivot the character into another direction because they need their big team up moment? So it's like, seems like that Hemsworth is up for staying as Thor longer now, because it seems like he was kind of burned out and he was going to be done. Yeah. But then he did Ragnarok, and they've turned Thor into more of a joke character now, and he's really having fun with that. So he's like, oh, I'll stay Thor for a while yet. So it's like, okay, that's fine. And again, Ragnarok is a fun movie, and Love and Thunder looks good too. But I just don't know. The one character I feel like that they'll hopefully do justice to and really, improve upon the arc or lack thereof from previous movies is Jane Foster and her being
absolutely
back. Because that was one of my issues with Ragnarok, is that this was a fun movie, but it is so disconnected from those first two movies. It's like Loki's in it, Loki's in it. I'll say that, but Heimdall is sorta kind of in it. Odin dies in the beginning. Frigga is already dead. The Warriors 3 are essentially killed off screen. I mean, they're killed on screen, but I mean, they barely get speaking lines before they are just viciously murdered by Hela without any send-off. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, you just did not care about those other movies at all, which some people found refreshing. But when you have an established continuity, and even if you have made mistakes and you haven't necessarily gone about things the proper way, I feel like it's better to say, okay, let's fix this and use what we have, instead of throwing away
yeah.
and creating new, because that's one of the issues I have with Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that too.
yeah, where it creates so many new characters that could have been pre-existing characters that we had from Last Jedi and Force Awakens, but JJ was like, well, no one liked Last Jedi, so instead of having Rose do anything, we're just going to have her sit there so that way people don't call us racist or sexist or whatever, and we'll just bring in these new characters that could have easily been Rose.
Yeah.
So, because what was the point of Zori Bliss? That could have easily been Rose.
Yep.
So I mean, I feel Ragnarok is much the same way with a lot of the things it does, and just casting aside characters and creating new ones. It's like Valkyrie is basically what they should have been doing with Lady Sif the entire time, and so it's like, why didn't it's like, okay, why didn't you just do that with Lady Sif instead of doing, this is what we wanted to do with Lady Sif? Well, actually, hold on. On that one, I think they had an excuse, because I think Jamie Alexander was busy filming a TV series at the time. So they have an excuse with Valkyrie. I'll give them that, because that's also the reason she wasn't in the movie at all. Otherwise, I bet she probably would have been killed off with the Warriors 3. But so they have an excuse there. But with it's like, I mean, Korg, as funny as Korg is, that should have just been Volstagg. It's like it's like, okay, maybe you kill off 2 of the 3 Warriors 3, and you choose which one would be best for comedic material, and you keep Volstagg as the comedic material, as the comedic character or something. So it's like, and so I'm just kind of worried that they're gonna maybe do the same thing with Ragnarok, with their Love and Thunder, and like they're gonna rewrite Jane in a way that doesn't make sense. But maybe they'll also, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it more than I was Doctor Strange, because like that's Love and Thunder is definitely going to be an opening weekend movie for me, for sure, unless like scheduling just is absolutely not going to work out. But Doctor Strange is like, I can wait 3 weeks. I didn't really. So I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
that actually sums about how I feel about those 2 movies. But also interestingly, it made me, because I've kind of been in the camp that the first 4 movies aren't great. Ragnarok is a lot more fun, and I think it's a better movie. But I actually hadn't considered a lot of the things that you actually brought up in terms of characters and character arcs and themes. So it's like, that does put things into a perspective, I suppose. So that was actually interesting to hear.
And it's one of those things where Marvel, for all they tout that everything is connected, it is a little more slapdash than people give them credit for. It's not DC levels of we're making this up as we go along. They do plan things out, but they do rewrite things pretty. If something doesn't work, they are pretty quick to cast it aside and like never mention it again. Like it's like the fact that we had Thunderbolt Ross in any movies after the Incredible Hulk at all is says a lot. The fact that we're just now getting the Abomination back for the first time since 2008. I mean, he was in Shang-Chi for a hot second, but so I mean, he's had like a couple mentions here and there. Like the highest profile mention that the Abomination got before Shang-Chi was one episode in the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wow.
And people even debate about the canonicity of that show. At this point, it's like, of course it's canon. Why everything Marvel has ever released is canon to the MCU now after Doctor Strange, because why not? There's a multiverse. Why can't this be part of an MCU universe that's exactly like the one that we've been following? It's just that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is also tacked on. It's like, why not? It's like there's nothing to say it can't be.
At this point, it's like Fortnite. Everything is pretty much is canon, except it's just all the Marvel property.
Yeah, so So yeah, so for as much as Marvel likes to say that it's all connected, I actually think Star Wars has been doing a much better job of being it's all connected than they have been for a while, because they actually actively cross over TV shows and movies and comics, and they, for the most part, and like they're like we discussed before, the one or two little things like the Kanan Bad Batch connection and how that kind of overwrote something, and that was maybe a little fishy. Yeah. But, you know, for the most part, everything pretty much lines up, and most character arcs feel natural progressions of where we saw a character last, and it's not, and they're not doing these great big leaps and bounds rewrites because the last project didn't work out the way they thought it was going to. Because no matter how people felt about Book of Boba Fett, you know, that is now Boba's character arc, and they're going to move forward with it, with, you know, the character in that manner. The one exception to that rule was like Rey's parentage in the sequels. Yeah. But, you know, that was that's a very special case.
Yeah, and definitely like
it's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm excited for Obi-Wan. That's why I'm excited for Ahsoka. That's why I'm excited for Andor and all these other Star Wars projects that are coming out, because I know that more than likely it's going to make sure that it's going to maintain continuity, and it's going to feel like a natural extension and evolution. Where some of this Marvel stuff, you know, it's like, and it's because even the character of Doctor Strange himself, there were a couple moments where I was like, would he do this, or is he just doing this because Sam Raimi's directing? So even there, I would, you know, there was a couple things like that. I'm rambling at this point because I'm getting tired and my brain's not functioning the way it should. So we should wrap up before I keep us going for another half hour.
All right. Yeah, that was Big Monke, Big Lizard event in called Warzone, and. Speaking of crossovers, next weekend I'm gonna play that Top Gun DLC with Days Combat 7, which at the very least makes so much more sense. Yep. in terms of both thematics, since, you know, it's planes and about ace pilots, and also that the movie is coming out next week. And boy, is there a lot of exciting things coming next weekend. We also have the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, as mentioned,
and Star Wars Celebration at the same time.
Oh, is it around the same time? I didn't realize.
Yes, I think it starts Thursday and Kenobi drops Friday, and then Celebration goes through the weekend. Wow! So we're about to get Star Wars Christmas, which I am very excited about.
Yeah, and it's actually funny you say that, considering I was also gonna say that since I kind of missed the May the 4th, or rather the before the May the 4th special, as has been with prior years. I mean, next week, not only do we have Star Wars Celebration and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's also gonna be the 45th anniversary of Star Wars as a whole. So Ace Combat / Top Gun on Friday.
Maybe there's a Battlefront stream in the near future.
Yeah.
Again.
I either that, or I was possibly thinking Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, since they just released new. They released a patch and some surprise content, like the Venator that was cut from the game and apparently has been uncut.
Yeah, and with a lot of other capital ships. And it's funny because someone was actually... I saw a video like 2 weeks ago. Someone actually dug through the files on PC and put the Venator back into the game.
Yeah.
And it was a teensy bit broken, but... You know, because like the troopers just like stood there and wouldn't attack when you were boarding, but you know, otherwise it was fully functioning and everything. And they're like, "Well, it looks pretty much finished to me, except for the fact that the troopers won't attack." But I think that's because I forced it back into the game, so I don't know why they cut this. And it's like, well, there must have just been a couple little things that they needed to get right, and they were like, "Well, we'll just put this into a patch later." But it's like not putting a couple capital ships into the game was the least of that game's issues. But
yeah. It's nice it's there now, but
yeah,
you can just go back.
Give me a reason to go back.
Yeah, was gonna say, if you're more curious about what we're referring to, you can go back to the last time I streamed Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, where we discussed the game. But yeah, that's what's in store for next weekend. And also, of course, you can check out Prentice1215 at his own YouTube channel. That is Prentice1215. He just put up a Battlefront 2 funny video that you should definitely check out 100%. And yeah, also some occasional streams over at his channel where I show up as well, and some other people that also some bit of a crossover now that I think about it.
Yes, we do crossover quite a bit.
But yeah, that's it for today. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter at LokaCola. A link is in the description down below. And I have been joined by Prentice1215. Start with the alphabet.
Calling myself 1215 Prentice feels about how I would sign off with my tired state. So that's probably pretty accurate. And I didn't have a quippy one-liner to end on anyway. So thank you for helping me along with that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna end on a line I should have said probably sometime in the stream, because it would have been perfect. Come up to the coast, get together, have a few laughs.
Have a few laughs. Yeah. I mean that is like perfect. John McClane just on the beach. It's like, come up to the coast, have a few laughs as Giant Monkey and Giant Lizard are fighting in the background.
The current state of Warzone. See you next week.
Yay.
End.